If I were going to give you one word to increase your balance sheet emotionally, be more selfish. If love got the job done, you wouldn't need podcasts, you wouldn't need seminars. It doesn't. Tough love gets the job done. Why do you think they don't have more confidence in you? Because they've seen you whine like a bitch.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like nah, 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 nah. For my top 10, top 10, nah, nah, nah. This one's for my top 10.
Need motivation?
Watch the Top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Carmichael, and this channel was created to help you overcome the #1 challenge that is holding you back, a lack of belief in yourself. You watch these videos because you know there's something more inside you too. You have Michael Jordan level talent at something. So get ready to be hard as nails, stop whining, and hone your sales skills with Dan Pena and my take on his top 10 rules of success to give you the confidence, motivation, and belief that you need. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule #1. Be hard as nails.
If love got the job done, you wouldn't need podcasts, you wouldn't need seminars. It doesn't. Tough love gets the job done. And the people that I've just alluded to, those names, I was doing some research for my talk, and I looked up Heineken. Gerard Heineken, who was the founder of Heineken beer in 1864. He talked his rich mother. Heineken's come from a wealthy family even before the beer. He talked his mother into buying a brewery in 1864, which they then turned into Heineken. Gerard was a hard ass, tough as nails. Now, I didn't know him, I'm not that old, but I did know Freddie Heineken, the old man, and he was hard ball buster. Now, I don't know his daughter, the current CEO of Heineken, but I'm told she's a ball buster. I did know Steve Jobs. I do know Elon Musk. I do know Warren Buffett. I do know, and they're all ball busters. Success leaves clues, kids. I just named 5 of the greatest names in business in the last 150 years. And they all have one thing in common. They're ball busters. They're hard as nails.
Rule #2, stop whining.
You don't need friends. Friends are problems. Friends are for you to share your misery with. And remember, you're not sharing misery anymore. And you don't share doubts. When you go home and you have a hard day, everything's terrific, honey. Why do you think they don't have more confidence in you? Because they've seen you whine like a bitch. That's why they don't have more confidence in you. And maybe in the movies, you know, when the guy puts his head on his wife's chest, it's crying. Maybe in the movies that works, but in real life, all they do is have disdain for you, disgust that turns to hatred. And if you think any different, what are you smoking? And if it's not addictive, give me some, because I want to smoke it too.
Rule #3, hone your sales skills.
When you get out there, remember I said the tough thing is to run the businesses once you buy them. Top line is king. Top line meaning sales, revenue. You can always find an accountant to around and cut expenses. You can always find people, bean counters to do this, that, and the other thing. But people that drive top line, people that drive the revenue stream are magic. And those are the people. And I've been good all my life at finding people that know how to drive the top line. Because I am a top line guy, and I know what it takes. And it's just basic sales. All I've done is I've taken my sales skills from selling, pots and pans and insurance over kitchen tables to selling governments.
Rule #4, be accountable.
98% of the high performance people on the planet, they want to be liked. 98%. I'm at the cutting edge, the hard edge. He's not at the hard edge. He's someplace in the middle. But being liked doesn't get you a raise when you're working for whoever you're working for. Efficiency, accountability. Most people that come to seminars are there because they weren't held accountable when they were growing up. There used to be a saying when I was growing up, which is very politically incorrect now. Spare the rod and spoil the child. The rod meaning beating, okay? Spare the rod, spoil the child. Now we have kids, and I'm sure many in the audience can attest to this, that have never been reprimanded, never spanked by their parents, never been screamed at, never been slapped, never been in a schoolyard fight with another kid. And look at you. We had, at my seminar, and I'm not bragging about this, we had, in the last 2 seminars, we had 2 guys pass out just from stress. Fell over and hit their head on the floor from stress.
Because the words you were saying.
No, because I'm a hard guy, and I make them accountable. You're late, you're out. Don't come back. You can't be late. You're either early or don't come. And so the kids today, their parents never made them accountable, and their grandparents apparently didn't make their parents accountable.
Also, if you want to have more confidence and self-love, check out my 254 series. They're free. The links to join are in the description below.
But no one does know initially, up front. You have to try. You have to swing at the plate. A kid like you, if you had to keep track of 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, what you do. You want people with a like mind and that are better than you, smarter than you, more intelligent than you to get on your bus.
Rule number 5, don't make a plan B.
I had no plan B. Until I was 60 years old, I spent 125% of every dollar I ever made. If I made $1 million, I spent $1,250,000. If I made $10 million, I spent $12.5 million. Okay? 1 year I made $100 million, and I spent $125 million. Okay? And, at 60, my wife and I sat down, and he says, I think we should downsize and, stop all that. And I had a lot of stuff, okay? Most of which I didn't use. We had a lot of houses and that we never went to. And I don't believe in plan B, because if you have a plan B, you'll use it.
Rule number 6, be more selfish.
If we're going to give you one word to increase your balance sheet emotionally, be more selfish. One word. Because what are you taught when you're a little kid? Johnny doesn't have toys, so let Johnny play with your toys, right? Johnny. His parents should have got the toys. If he's got no toys, piss on him.
And then bite his nose off.
No, well, I didn't know about biting nose off until I got a little older.
I will say, I've given that advice to people. I think a lot of people that I interact with maybe aren't selfish enough, and for that reason, they're not able to get their own shit done, and they're struggling and caught up in a spot in life that they don't want to be in.
Well, if they can't get their own shit, then how are they going to get your shit done?
Yeah, precisely.
And by the way, leadership is me getting you to do what I want you to do when I want you to do it, not when you decide to do it.
Rule number 7, have self-esteem.
Why things are the way they are right now with political correctness, social norms, which I think is a disaster, outright disaster. I hate it. And I'm not quite sure what to make of it in terms of where is it going. But I'd like to know what your take is on like how all this insanity started, where it's about feelings and hurting feelings.
Political correctness, in my judgment, is a manifestation of lack of self-esteem. When I grew up, I had an alpha male dad, superhero from the Second World War and the Korean War, who looked like, he had a 56-inch chest, a 30-inch waist, and he had 18-inch arms, and he'd never lifted weights, okay? And and all his buddies, if you will, from the Second World War and the Korean War looked more or less like him. And they allegedly, and in reality, they saved the generation from all the bad
They call that
stuff.
the greatest generation, right?
Correct. And so I thought everybody was like that. And when I went out into business and I made a lot of money, and then when I got thrown out of the company I founded, what was I going to do? And I thought, well, I'll go back and teach university. It's a long-winded answer to your question. And I taught university for $1, an honors class, and I was really dismayed. And so then I said, well, I'll coach the meatheads, the kids. And because I thought everybody had some sort of self-esteem. Now, when I was at Bear Stearns, almost everybody had self-esteem at some level, okay?
And you were in New York at the time, Investors?
Yeah.
What years was that?
Yeah, it was 77 through 81.
So you know Ace Greenberg?
Ace hired me. Cy Lewis hired me. Cy Lewis himself. And I was the most successful, allegedly, non-Jew in the firm. And they always said that I was Sephardic. You know, and they said, you got to be Jewish. And it's all right. Don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed. And so, but they were pushy guys. I mean, and we weren't the white shoe guys, you know, like the Goldman Sachs or those kind of guys. We were pushy guys that got shit done. And so, but there I was still surrounded with guys that had a lot of self-confidence and a lot of self-esteem. And so I was led to believe that self-esteem wasn't such a rare commodity or quantity, whatever you want to call it. But in reality, we both know it is.
Yeah.
And self-confidence, self-esteem, etc. And so the world today is political correctness. Back to your original question, is because we want people to like us. We want to fit in. We don't want to stand out. In a day when somebody will commit suicide on Facebook because they're disliked is beyond my comprehension. I can't understand it. I just don't. And why the parent of the kid that kills himself doesn't go kill his parents is beyond me. You know, there's certain things worth dying for, and that's one of them in my judgment. And but it's getting worse and worse and worse.
Rule number 8, be willing to sacrifice.
We have 2 tests on my website. All my stuff's free, by the way. One is called a snowflake test. 96.4% of the people that take the snowflake test fail. The first or second question on the test is, if someone spit in your mother's face, now I'm gonna say this real slow so that you're Dutch, I remember. If someone spit in your mama's face, Baldy, you in the front row right here, okay? What are the choices? There's 4 or 5 choices. The choice that's most clicked is I would try to figure out where he was coming from and if he had a bad day. Now, what the f does that have to do with spitting in your mama's face? I would try to figure out if he had a bad day. Does that mean if he had a bad day, it's all right to spit in your mother's face? We have another test. It's called Super Success Test. 98.4% flunked that test because we decided to make a softer test. Okay, well, maybe the guys really believe that they shouldn't punch the guy's, stab him in the eye with a knife for spitting on your mama. Okay, we'll do a new test. It's called the Super Success Test. So we ask softer questions, hoping, praying that the results are going to be better. Boy, never underestimate how wrong you can be, kids. So the softer test was based on what kind of sacrifices are you willing to be super successful? 60 hours a week. Nobody is willing to work 60 hours a week to be successful. Nobody's willing to miss an anniversary, wedding anniversary to be successful. Nobody is willing to miss a holiday. If you booked a holiday and something important happened in business, would you tell your family to go on the holiday without you? And you're not going to go. Nobody said yes. And it's got 27 questions or 26 questions, and they flunked that test worse than the other test because you're not willing to make any sacrifices to be high performance.
Rule number 9, build an emotional bank account.
I tell everybody going to healthcare. Healthcare is hot, okay? People my age don't want to die, and so they're spending more and more money. Yep. 19.5 cents of every dollar spent in America is spent on healthcare. Call it 20 cents. And it's because my generation is getting older and older. If you're born today or 2019, you're going to live between 92 and 93 years old. Okay? Ooh. When I was born, you were only going to live till 60 something. Yeah. So the kids have an opportunity, but it's the emotional sacrifices. We have 2 bank accounts in life. We have an emotional bank account. We have a financial bank account. Most of you have been taught about the financial bank account that you need to use to get into deals. You need to have an emotional bank account. You got to man up. You got to have a pair. Okay? In the military, they say, sound up like you had a pair, Pena. Okay? And that resonated with me. Yeah. Because I used to have a squeaky voice. Don't have that anymore. And my wife says, because I've been yelling for 45 years, maybe that's why I don't have a squeaky voice anymore. But it's all there. But we don't tell the kids that there's a secret sauce. We don't tell them that there's a shortcut. When you tell the average kid that has never sold anything, you're 2,000 cold calls away from being a multimillionaire. Oh, I guess I don't want to do that bad. Do I have to work on the weekends?
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is find good role models.
I remember we had a superstar years ago that wanted me to meet her parents. And we drove across, I happened to be in Florida, we drove across Alligator Alley, which is a freeway on the bottom tip of Florida, all the way out from the East Coast to the West Coast. And we stopped in, and as we drove up to their house, they lived in a golfing community. The parents were rolling around on the lawn fighting, the mom and dad. And the mom was on top of the dad, beating him like a rented mule. And then it all became clear to me what had happened to the girl. It was a girl. And then as soon as we drove up, they brushed themselves off and they were drinking, they had tumblers. They had 32 ounce, you know how you go to a Starbucks or something, you get a 32 ounce big drink, or you go to a KFC, you get a 32 ounce. They had 32 ounce tumblers that were full of ice, and they pour a bottle of vodka. So they diluted themselves, well, at least the ice, all the 32 ounces of ice was diluting down the quart of vodka they put in there, or half a quart, whatever it was. And so it was the quickest dinner I've ever had. We were there and gone in 45 minutes. And the girls cried from that house to Tampa. And those are the days I used to drive still. I drove to Tampa and I had to get on a plane. But when you have no role models, other than bad role models, 99 times out of 100, what comes out is something less than, you want to brag about.
Now I've got a special bonus clip from Dan on being willing to walk away that I think you're going to enjoy. But before that, it's time for the 3-point landing questions. Let's go from just watching a video to taking action. Here we go. Question number 1. Who are 3 good role models for you? Number 2, where do you need to stop whining? And number 3, how will you build your self-esteem this week? And if you made it this far in a video and you commit that you're gonna take action, we don't just watch videos here, we do something, give me a hashtag believe down in the comments below, because I want to celebrate you.
98% of the people that are high performers in the world are not alpha male, they're introverts. Mm-hmm. It's tough to be something you're not. With all the training that somebody like I can do for you. But we've got kids. I met with a kid for a coffee yesterday. He just graduated from the University of Washington as an aeronautical engineer. He's closing his first deal today in San Diego. And he just came by and I spent an hour with him, just reminded him of a couple of things at the close, because deals change at the close.
Oh, yeah.
Right? The banks change the numbers at the close.
Why you meet with this kid?
Because he's one of my mentees.
Okay, so he was in your program.
Yeah, he went to the program 4 or 5 months ago.
You say things change at the close.
Right at the close.
And that's
you have a term sheet. The bank tells you they will loan you this much money at these terms based on this.
But
right?
but you can show up and that's when you show up and strangle them. Yeah.
Strangle them. It's tough. And my mentees don't want me to strangle them because they're so desperate to get the deal done. They will agree to anything.
Oh, that sucks.
Okay. And you have to be able to walk away. The walk away close is the best close in sales. Walk away meaning, you, I'm leaving. Or don't let the door hit you in your fat ass on the way out, asshole.
If you want 10 more amazing rules from Dan Pena, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
For me, there's no compression algorithm for experience. The coders have not figured out how to write an algorithm for experience.